Laying out a form in SmartForm Composer is reasonably straightforward. SmartForm Composer uses the concept of layout managers, which typically take care of most of the details of exactly positioning and sizing your fields and sections for you, and as you just concentrate on the information that you want to collect in your form. There will be other sections on this video help on details about different types of layout managers. But for the moment, we're just going to lay out a simple form. Typically the best way to start is to start off by creating the overall structure of your form, which means defining your sections. You can just dive straight into the fields, but generally, and then add sections later, but generally giving some thought to the various sections really helps. So I'm going to click on the Sections tab, and as you can see in this template I have only 2 sections. I'm going to drag a new section level 1 into my form. The easiest way to drag and drop is to do it directly into the tree or the structure pane on the left hand side and give it a name, and I'm just going to give this a very generic name. You'll also notice that there's a thing here that says a checkbox that says add starter content, and that simply adds a details section underneath section level 2, underneath that section 2. I can also drag a second section level 2 if I want to. Now the rules of dropping are that if I drop on a container, and a container has got a little plus minus expand box next to it, it'll be added as the last element of that container. If I drop it on top of an existing child, something that is not expandable, it'll be dropped in the slot immediately below that item. So this might be details too. You'll also notice that as I'm typing in the section heading, Composer is also generating something called the section name. Now the section name is an internal name that is used inside of XFA forms to give this the meaningful name, if you like, or the programmatic name of every single object in your form, and we will automatically generate a default name for you. You can see in this case it's details 2 with a lowercase d, and the space is removed because there are some rules about names that must be met for XFA compliance. You can, if you wish, uncheck that and give it your own name if you choose to. In general, however, using the generated name is sufficient. Now you'll notice a few errors in what I've done with my form. First of all, I've accidentally dropped details 2 underneath details, and really because section 2 is a level 1 heading and details 2 are section level 2, it's important to get the hierarchy right, and in fact details 2 should always live directly underneath the details 1 section. So the easy way to fix that is to simply go into the tree control, click on the item that you want to move, and click on one of these 4 buttons along the top to move it into the appropriate spot. And as I did that, you'll see that the rendering of that level 2 section is now correct. You'll also notice that the button bar, which should appear at the bottom of my form, is now somewhere in the middle, and again I can simply move that by pressing the down arrow. Now what you might find if you have a lot of movements that you need to do is that every time you hit one of these buttons, the entire form refreshes. If you've got a lot of movements to make, one thing that you may want to do is click the freeze button, which freezes the wireframe, prevents it from changing. You can then make all of your adjustments. In this case it was only 1. Nothing changes, and then when I unfreeze, I'll refresh and everything looks correct. It is very important to get that structure correct. If you get it wrong, really strange things happen, and I'll show you how this works in this particular case. You can see that the way that the form is being displayed is starting to look really ugly, and you do need to get that right. Now that we've got the overall structure of the form correct, we can now start adding in fields or widgets into the form. To do that, I'll click on the widgets section in the accordion, and I'll start by dropping in a simple text field into the first detail section. If I drop that in, give it a name, you'll see again the label is what I type in, and Composer is automatically generating for me the underlying name. Depending on the field that you drop, you may see additional fields appearing or additional properties appearing underneath, and this varies from field to field and template to template, but for the moment I'm just going to leave it at that and save. Now when you have several fields, there are a number of places that you can drop. Again, if you drop into a container, something that has a plus minus expand icon next to it, it'll always be added as the last item in that container, as here. And if I drop onto a field such as first name, it'll insert it immediately after that field at the same level. Like that. It is also possible to drag and drop fields directly into the wireframe. However, this functionality is not available in Beta 1 and will be enabled in Beta 2 or a later version. In order to enable that particular setting, click on Options and select Allow Wireframe Drag and Drop. You'll see at the moment that is disabled. Once that is enabled, you can drag and drop a field directly into one of the sections. However, the control that you get is not quite as accurate as you do when you drop it into the tree, and we recommend that for most purposes you'll get better results if you do drag and drop directly into the tree. Social Security number. Once you've done the basic layouts of your form, of your fields on your form, you can of course modify the layout data to adjust the way that the field looks. This is the subject of an entire different video help presentation, but just to give you an example, if I double click on first name, click on the layout tab and select the layout fill option to horizontal, that'll cause the first name field to be expanded to fit the entire width of the parent that it lives in, the details field. You can also select the layout manager that is in use by the container, which governs how it lays out its children. So again, under layout manager, we're currently using a flowed layout from top to bottom, but there are several different types of layout managers, and these will be expanded over time, so that the ones you see here may be different in your particular template or may be enhanced as we build more of these layout managers for you. Finally, we can, in addition to adding individual fields or widgets into a form, we can also add entire blocks. A block is generally a collection of fields which may or may not have additional business logic in them. So I can simply drag a block from the block section and drop it onto a particular section. When I do so, I enter in a name. Now just bear in mind that this is actually different from a caption. Blocks typically don't have captions. There's nothing visible, there's no visible heading in a block. So really what I'm typing in here is the internal name, and I do need to be careful that it conforms to XFA guidelines such as no spaces or punctuation. So I might decide to call it block address. Also note that all internal names must be unique within the particular section that they appear in, and you will get error messages if you create invalid names of sections. And as you can see, that creates a number of fields in a single block. But there'll be much more about blocks and how to edit them and what is editable in another video presentation. Like other types of objects within Composer, blocks like to live inside of the correct containers. So blocks generally like to live inside either a level 1 or a level 2 heading. If you have your block outside one of those headings, it'll generally still work but may not look correct as is shown here. It's not picking up the background color that's associated with that section.